Hey there, it's Angela, and I'm so glad you found your way here to architecting. Creative careers can be stressful, and it's hard to be vulnerable, but this is your landing pad for raw honesty. I'll help you get clarity, reconnect with your passion, and have the career of your dreams. If you're ready to make a difference, have an impact, and say bye-bye to burnout, stick with me, and let's get architecting. Bright lights, it's Angela. Welcome back to Architecting. Today we are going to talk about a really important topic, one near and dear to my heart, something that I see so often working with my coaching clients that really is something it's time once and for all for us to really start putting behind us as architects, as creatives. It is the biggest thing holding us back. And it's not being stressed out. It's not having enough time. Those are symptoms of this deeper problem. And that is cutting back on our greatness, clipping our own wings, and settling for what I call the first available career. This is an easy thing to do. We need to be able to work. So we look for jobs and we accept the job that's offered to us. We work at that job and we know that we're not going to get made the CEO of the company day one. Of course not. So we put in time. We get different opportunities on different projects. The sneaky thing is, though, that as all this time goes by and we're taking the default opportunities that are put in front of us, doing work that isn't your life's work still takes creativity, still takes time, still takes energy, probably is going to create more stress. But at the end, when you look back, you haven't gotten where you always believed you could go. A lot of people very early in their careers let go of the big dream and think, well, this is reality. Yeah, there's architects in magazines, out there doing great stuff, but that's not me. Why would that be me? I just don't see that as me. Today, I want to be your wake-up call. It is you. It is you. To start to think that it's normal to do great things. It's normal to have an impact beyond meeting a client's expectations. That's great, but what could we do to transcend that, to have a bigger impact? What can we do that's not part of projects that could have a bigger influence? Research into success shows that people never go further than the limits of the person that they see themselves as being. If you see yourself as somebody who is perpetually at a management level and that is all you do, that is all you'll ever do. If you see yourself as somebody who has to work crazy hours just to maintain the status quo, that is what you will do. If you see yourself as the person who's too busy to make time and space for doing the work they love because they have all of the compulsories of a project to do, that is what will show up and what your career will look like. One of the things that I really am great at is helping you rewrite your identity so that you can reclaim that part of yourself that is the big dreamer. You can move past the limitations of the person that you see yourself as being today. You might not even realize how you are defining yourself, and your definition of yourself creates the definition of you that other people hold in their mind. And even if you are successful, I know from my personal experience, I still defined myself as the lone wolf, the person that had to go alone, that had to struggle, that had to fight to do the things I wanted. And what did I get right back from other people? That exact same energy. When I started to shift that and say, I see myself as a collaborator, I see myself as a person that creates psychological safety for others. I do not have to defend myself. I see my work resonating. All of a sudden, things radically changed for me. While I was in Boston to speak at the DRS conference back at the end of June, I was hanging out with an old college friend. She's been on the podcast. Check out episode 3 with Diana Nicholas. Dee is amazing. We went to Carnegie Mellon together. We have stayed in touch. And while she's not in healthcare, both of us have very similar career passions. And she's a total polymath. She's not only a registered architect, but she is also a interior designer with all of those certifications. She is an artist who actively produces work. She's a university professor. She's got more going on than you can believe. And she holds this big vision. And at the time, I was finishing up putting together the package for my nomination for the AIA Ohio Gold Medal. I was telling her how it was a little scary to do this. I got this tap on the shoulder. It's time. This is your year. You need to go for this. But these big career awards feel so daunting. They feel like, well, they're for other people. Am I really ready? Is it presumptuous for me to even think I could get this? And she's like, oh, you are totally going to get this. And she was right. I did. But I said to her, I wonder if you felt this way too. Ever since I was a little kid, I would see somebody do something really great, accomplish something, be at a milestone in their career, and I would think, one day, that will be me. And she said, yeah, I totally am like that too, which is exactly my point here. We need to believe that. We need to believe and seek out the examples of those who've gone before. If somebody hasn't done something exactly like what you've done, how can their story inspire you? It's super easy to look at anybody who is a success. We just had the Olympics, so you can name any number of phenomenal athletes, people like Katie Ledecky or Simone Biles, that are just rewriting the history books here with their accomplishments. But if you actually look at their story, you see that this is not some fairy tale skip down the path to great destiny. There were things they had to overcome. There were setbacks in their life. There were even personal situations that a lot of people would tell you statistically should have meant that they were set up for a life of hardship and struggle. And yet somehow they moved past it. It's important to look at that path to success, not just the accomplishment. Because when we see that, when we see what people have already done, but we don't understand what they had to face down in order to get there, feels like there is this giant gap between where they are and where we are. And it's like trying to pole vault across the Grand Canyon ain't gonna happen. What we don't realize is they probably hiked down and across and climbed back up. That's how they got to the other side. They put in the work, they put in the effort. They believed in the inevitability of their success. When you believe that your success is inevitable, you do not think that failure is your cue to quit. You believe it when people give you a compliment. You don't turn down opportunities because you're too busy. You find a way. The playing it safe route, that first available career, means you might be doing things right now that you are very, very good at, that you have a very high level of competence in, that your colleagues count on you and you are the go-to person. But those things may not light you up. They're just a means to an end. While it feels good to do high quality work, is that work really hitting you? Is it really touching your soul? Are you dealing with issues that you can't shut up about because you are so passionate? I'm going to use an analogy that we all know very much in our industry, the idea of infiltration, right? Water is the enemy of any building envelope. Water getting into your building is going to cause damage. It's going to cause mold. It's going to cause all kinds of problems. We put a lot of time and effort into understanding how moisture gets into our building. I want you to think of yourself now, though, as the water. Water finds a way. It can be ice, it can be liquid, it can be vapor. Water finds a path no matter what. Water carves landforms. It literally sculpts rock. That's how powerful water is. Water is patient. That mountain stream that just tumbles down over time becomes wider and deeper and bigger. And if something happens and the path of the stream is blocked, what does it do? It routes a different way, and pretty soon that becomes the path that it takes all the time. It gets into cracks, it freezes and fractures things. Water is the source of life. In fact, when astrophysicists are trying to study other planets and determine whether or not there ever was life or could be life or is life, what they are looking for is the presence of water. Our bodies are over 90% water. Life on Earth exists because of water. Think about how powerful water is, and the way that it is a persistent force of nature that can take many different forms. And then I want you to think about how you can be like that in your life. You all know that I concentrate on a field of research called salutogenesis, and that is my passion. It is all about designing to help make people better at what they do and empower them. It's really my why as an architect, because ever since I was a little girl, I've known that space feels like something. Once I learned enough in school and beyond to start to see how we could consciously create feelings and influence behavior, I just was hooked. And while this is a fascinating topic, it is exactly the easiest thing to work into everyday conversation in architectural practice. And at first, when I would talk about this stuff, people would be like, yeah. Or they would worry that it was going down a rabbit hole or going to cost the project extra. But I didn't stop. I kept learning about it. I realized that to truly have credibility, I needed to do peer-reviewed research. So I challenged myself to write an article that was eventually published in the Herd Journal, which is a peer-reviewed journal that gives a certain rigor to my process, which is important because that wasn't really happening around the issue of design for well-being. By me challenging myself to write this paper, by this paper being published in a journal, I can track the citations and I can see how many other people are now using the work that I've done to help build a foundation for the research that they are doing. Just last week, I saw I was cited in a chapter of a book. This personal challenge, this desire never to stop, to lead with the salutogenesis work in my career, not just try to tack it on as an afterthought, is not only shaping my career, but it is helping other people do the work that they're doing. It is starting to have that ripple effect. It is something that is a differentiator for our firm. And there's so many other issues that tie into it, right? When we think about designing for well-being, now we're also looking at equity. And I've been fortunate to collaborate with a couple other people in my firm on building a health equity framework. We've been able to publish articles about this, speak at multiple venues, and really get the word out on how this makes a difference, how this can influence practice, how at its core, salutogenesis is about giving people resources to cope so that they can thrive, and equity is about how available resources are to someone. So there is a really, really nice pairing there. Just yesterday, a professor from Texas Tech reached out to me and said, will you be part of a lecture series I'm putting together for my Design for Health course this fall? And it goes on. When we say, no matter what, I'm going to have the clarity of the thing I care about, the thing that lights me up, the thing that I feel called to do. And I'm going to lead with that, not make that the thing that has to wait until other things that are quote unquote more important get done. All of a sudden, just like that water vapor can sneak into your building, just like that little trickle of runoff from rain or melting ice on the mountain will carve a river and eventually a canyon, you can start to define not the first available career, but the career you want, the career you were called to have. You'll notice I never once said I wanted to be a rocket scientist or a marine biologist. Those careers didn't resonate with me, but there are certainly people for whom they did. There is a reason that you wanted to be an architect. Tap into that now. Don't minimize your dream. Your dream is your dream for a reason. Don't hold yourself back because you think you don't have a right to do it, or because when you mention it to someone, it maybe didn't stick with them. They just weren't the right person to hear it. I've talked in previous episodes about finding that genius group, right? When you are around people that are uplifters, that themselves have big dreams, big passions, that like myself and my friend Dee say, yeah, one day that will be me up there getting that award, making that difference, changing the game. Of course it will be me. My success is inevitable. When you're around people like that, it changes your own beliefs about what's possible. I mean, think about it. If you are around people who believe that work is just about earning a paycheck, things are hard, that there's a lot of challenges all the time, you just have to get through it, and they're not seeing opportunities, they're seeing limitations, they're always in lack, don't rock the boat, it might cause problems, don't speak up because now you've actually committed to something and that may not be a popular opinion or it might make somebody mad. When you're in that kind of energy, you're in the energy of thinking that you don't deserve massive success. Of course you feel that way. No one else is blazing a trail that you're around. And their energy is such that you don't even want to share your dreams with them. And if you were, they would probably look at you like you had three heads. They would probably treat you as if you had no right to think that, or you were crazy, or you had a big ego, or you were presumptuous. Say those exact same things around a group of uplifters, and they will be excited for you. They'll already be mentally running through ways they can help you, resources they could point you towards, people in their network they can hook you up with. Instead of being embarrassing or worrying about what people will think if you dare to utter your dream, you're excited to share it. You're excited to talk about the progress of it, and you're actually evolving and making progress. You're making that difference. You're having that career that you want to have, that you're meant to have, that as a result will make a difference. And it feels normal to do that. It doesn't feel like you are doing something crazy or out of the ordinary, or that you're on some kind of ego trip to chase greatness. It feels normal. It feels right. And that's where we really want to be. We don't want to settle for what we can get. We don't want to take something because we're worried that we won't get what we really want. We want to know what we want, ask for what we want, and we want to relentlessly chase that dream. And if that feels like a bridge too far, know that you have help, you have resources. You have this podcast, which is free and always here. But you also can get into my Stressless Success course. I've offered this course 4 times now and had some amazing lights go on for so many people that took it. To make it more available, because I always listen to feedback and evolve things, a lot of people found it challenging to make it for the 8 live calls. So I've reformatted the class so that we will be launching in late September, doing 1 live call that will be recorded just in case you can't make it. But the course content has been broken up into 8 modules with shorter segments to them so that you can listen for 15 or 20 minutes, not have to commit to a whole hour-long live call. You can listen on your own time so that you can fit it in with your busy schedule. But then to keep you accountable, we will have some live challenges that go on throughout the course, as well as a couple more live workshops so that you get a chance to ask me questions and stay accountable. I find that when you just simply take a self-directed course and there is no live component to it, you can track this as people will register for the course and they'll maybe listen to the first 1 or 2 modules and then they just stop. They lose momentum. Even though they paid for the whole course, they never get back to it. They never finish. So we're going to be doing this with a definitive start time and end time. You're going to get emails from me every week that are motivational. And I'm going to stay engaged with you throughout so that you do feel accountability, you do feel supported, and you do feel like you're part of a larger network of people. And most of all, in some way, Stressless Success can be part of your genius group. It can be part of that thing that says, of course you should dream big. Your success really is inevitable. And it doesn't have to look like what your boss's success looks like, or your mother or father's success looked like. It doesn't have to be about taking on overwhelming stress and working your fingers to the bone. It can be about doing what you love and getting results and making a difference. If you're listening to this and saying, yeah, I am done with having my energy vampired away, doing work that doesn't excite me. I want to get back in touch with my big dreams. I want to feel empowered to do work that makes a bigger impact on the world, or I'm already trying to do some of this, but I just need more direction. This is a great resource for you. Go ahead and check it out on my website, architectingpodcast.com, and you will see it right there on the front page. So you can sign up and you can get yourself more support, more resources, be part of a bigger genius group, have a consciously chosen career that lights you up, where success is inevitable versus that first available gig that is burning you out. All right, everyone, take care. I'd love to know if this resonated with you, so be sure to share your thoughts and tag me on Instagram at Architecting Podcast or on LinkedIn. And if this material resonates with you, share the love. Tell a friend, like, subscribe, rate the podcast. All of those things help to build our architecting community, help you to build your own personal network if you follow along and reach out to others so that you too can have that genius group you need to keep you dreaming big and knowing that you deserve to get there. Take care. Love you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for listening. If you want even more content, head on over to architectingpodcast.com and subscribe to my newsletter and get some great free downloads while you're there. Be sure to follow me on social media. On Instagram at Architecting Podcast, Facebook and LinkedIn pages are Architecting, and the YouTube channel Architecting Podcast. Stay inspired.